And so with that, I'm going to hand this over to Yvonne Espinoza Madrigal, who's the Director of Lawyers for Civil Rights. Yvonne, please take it away, and thank you.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here with ICIC and with each of you today. Just terrific. Thank you for joining forces with us today, and thank you for joining this annual conference. I hope the conference is going well for everyone. Today we have a really incredible lineup of experts and talent folks that are going to share common pitfalls and also solutions for how to move forward with procurement opportunities for small businesses. And with no further ado, I want to introduce the panel and get us started. So on the panel today, we are joined by Janetta Cardine of Cook County, Chicago, who is a whiz on procurement issues, manages procurement issues over in Chicago, and will be sharing a lot from her purview in her position in Cook County. So thank you, Janetta, for joining us. We will also be hearing from Erica Kroes-Bartling, who is a corporate and finance attorney on the contracting side with a major law firm. And her law firm is one of the top 100 in the country. Oh, let me see. Are you guys hearing me? You guys hearing me? No, now you do. Okay, perfect. Oh my God, I can't believe I was introducing folks and I was on mute, like common rookie mistake. So thank you all for joining us. I was in the process of introducing folks. I was saying Janetta Cardine from Cook County is joining us, a whiz on contracts issues, and she will be sharing procurement opportunities with us today. What are things that small businesses should or should not do? Also joining us today is Erica Kroes-Bartling, an attorney with Hush Blackwell, one of the top 100 law firms in the country. Erica is an attorney in corporate and finance areas on the contracting side, also formerly a small business owner. So she brings personal and professional experience to the table today. We are also joined by Trinette Chandler, a government contracting attorney and a small business owner of the Chandler Law Group. Thank you so much, Trinette, for joining us today and sharing your expertise in government contracting. We are joined by Lamont Robinson of Amerisource Bergen, Director of Supplier Diversity, who will also be sharing tips and tricks in the procurement space to be able to support small businesses. And last but certainly not least, we are joined by Jeff Herzog of Herzog Surgical, company that supplies surgical equipment for operating rooms and surgeons, mostly based out of California and Nevada. And Jeff's company is a relatively, I would say, small, mid-sized company. So also adding to the theme of entrepreneurship and business development. So thank you, Jeff, for joining us. And so to start us off, we're going to pose one common question to the panel and get their expertise on what are common pitfalls and shortcomings that you have seen small businesses and aspiring entrepreneurs make as they're going through contracting and procurement opportunities. What are some of the common pitfalls that you have seen? And I want to start here with Janetta, since Janetta works with the city of Chicago in procurement. I think, Janetta, you could anchor our conversation today on common pitfalls, and then I'll turn to other panelists to also share their expertise.
Thank you. So yes, I am with Cook County Government Office of Contract Compliance. I am the Deputy Director. My department oversees all of the contracting opportunities at Cook County Government for the government side as well as the hospital side. So one of the things we normally see, or I normally see, my team and I, is that when subcontractors are participating on contracts, they're never always completely ready. So one of the things you want to make sure is that you're ready to participate in these contracting opportunities. Make sure that you have done full capacity of knowing what you can actually provide. Make sure that you have the funding to provide the services that are needed. Make sure that you're reading your contracts thoroughly. Make sure you understand clearly what the services are that you need to provide. Many of our vendors are excited, and we want them to be excited to participate on contracts, but they're not always ready. They're not always prepared to, they've not read the documents thoroughly, and they're not really clear about what it is that they're needing to provide for the particular contract that they're bidding on or they're participating on. So the main thing is to make sure that you're fully aware of what the services are and you're ready to perform.
Thank you, Janetta, for putting on the table readiness and due diligence and doing your homework. I want to build on this theme. Maybe I can turn now to, let me turn to Lamont. Lamont, do you want to share from your perspective as Director of Supplier Diversity?
Yeah, to me, the first thing that I think about is not researching the potential clients. You know, I think a lot of times you get diverse businesses come in and try to sell their products or services, which, you know, I mean, that's what we build them, so we should sell them. But if you don't understand who that client is in the industry that they represent thoroughly, then a lot of times it makes you lose your credibility with the person that you're talking to. So I think that's one thing. And then also not understanding your differentiation versus your competitors. So understand how you match up versus your competitors. What makes you different? You cannot come in and say, you know, we offer the best service, your best product, you know, that's very general, you know, just generic. And so go in and really understand how you compare to your competitors, especially if you're in an industry that's overly saturated with diverse businesses. And then the last thing is, you know, I see another pitfall is not being patient. Be patient, because sometimes these opportunities take time to develop. It may be a timing in terms of contract. It may be a workload issue, you know, in terms of the person that you're trying to talk to. So just be patient and understand that sometimes these things take years, you know, and that's no fault to the person that you're talking to.
Thank you, Lamont. Very much appreciate the point about how you position yourself to be the value added. What is the value added? Your value added proposition and the long game approach as well. I want to turn to Trinette. Trinette, from your position as a government contracting attorney and a small business owner, do you want to share your perspective on common pitfalls?
Yes, I would say to echo what Janetta and Lamont said, let's build on that. Having your proposal response infrastructure ready. So the other part of my firm is we run large proposals that are $500 million to $6-7 billion. And one of the things I see often is the infrastructure necessary to respond if you see something in unison or something that's been put out. People are always scrambling to try to get their story together, whether it's their past performance or whether it's their technical capability, et cetera. And what I would say is, and you can do this immediately this weekend, right? Take a breath, look at what you have. What's your capability statement? Someone like a Janetta, she's not going to want to see a 20-page capability, like 1 page front and back. Get that done. Look at where you've done work before. Get your past performances written. Take the time to assess yourself like a Lamont or a Janetta would and say, do we really stand up? Or are we just one of the other folks that's sort of shaking our hat looking for work, right? So I would say when you are ready, you don't have to get ready. And a lot of times these opportunities, they might come out 1 week, they might be due in 2 weeks. You don't have time to recreate the wheel. So take a moment while there's a little bit of a lull in your schedule and get everything ready to go. And if you need help, reach out to resources who can help you. I'm not saying it's me, but you can ask someone that's in your business. Hey, remember we did that deal over with the Army? Hey, what did we do over there? Let's go back and grab the original contract documents, look at what we were asked to do, write a past performance, and put it back in the folder until it's time. Then that way you build a little bit each day so that you are ready to really be competitive in this very, very challenging landscape. Thank you.
Trinette, I love it. Proposal response infrastructure. Now that's a pull quote. I completely love it, and thank you for giving such specific technical advice. It is just really, really fabulous. I want to turn to Jeff Herzog of Herzog Surgical. Jeff, common pitfalls here.
Jeff, you're on mute.
Like Lamont said, I think it's knowing your market, knowing the customer that you're speaking to, because it's different everywhere that you go. So depending on who you're marketing to, it's important to find out how they treat a diverse vendor. You know, if they truly have a carve out to, serve those, because in our industry, there's all the systems say that they have diversity programs, but some of them hold no weight whatsoever. So it's good to understand, who is working with diverse companies and really what their leverage is in getting your products purchased, because going in as a small company against a majority of large companies is challenging, and you're going to be ignored unless you've really established the fact that you've got a better product, a better service. You can, do things better and cheaper. And as a small company, as all small companies, we have to do that anyway. But in contracting, it's even that much more important to really understand who your audience is.
Thank you, Jeff, for underscoring differentiation, which Lamont put on the table, and really great to see those points being echoed. And Eric, I want to get you into the conversation as a corporate finance attorney. What do you see as the common pitfalls, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I think the panelists have really identified a lot of key things like the readiness. Yeah, I love Trinette's point about the RFP process. When I said on that side with clients and seeing them just freak out because they have 2 weeks and they have to build some information, and then keeping it updated. Each time you go out for another RFP, each time you add a product or service, have someone who's updating your materials so that it's really easy to respond to your next one. I tend to come in a lot once a contract has been awarded, and so now we're in the contract process. And something that always surprises me is when I realize our diverse supplier hadn't really read what the proposal was. So then when it shows up on the contract side, they're sort of identifying something that they didn't know how to be done, and they didn't call it out as an issue for them. Or as we're going through the contract process, when I'm representing the potential client who wants to work with the DBE, I'm not always feeling like our diverse entities are reading and understanding what the obligations are, which they're signing on for. And if you're entering into a contract, I know how exciting it is to get awarded it, but you need to read it, understand it, know what your capabilities are, know what you might need from the client in order to be successful, so that you can make sure it's put in there. And if there's something that you can't quite do or that you don't quite have, say that so that the team can work with you. Because I assure you, we've gotten to a contract phase, everybody wants to move forward with you. So, and we'll appreciate all transparency about any type of concerns or worries you might have in the execution of the contract.
Can I add one thing, Yvonne?
I was going to go to you because I saw you nodding, Janetta. So please jump in.
Thank you. I wanted to just piggyback off of what Erica and Trinette were saying about resources. There are PTAC centers, and many small business owners are not aware that there are government entities. There are programs and centers that will assist them with making sure that their packages are correct. The PTACs are known as Procurement Technical Assessment Centers. That's what the PTAC stands for. And what it is somewhere where a small business can go to get the services that they need, if they don't understand how to fill out the solicitation documents, if they don't understand how to get certified, these PTACs are put in place by the government, by the SBA. They're all over the country. They're in all of the cities and all of the states. You just got, need to research and find them, and they're available to help you to get your documents set up properly so that you can participate on some of these solicitations.
I think that's a great point about resources to get you ready. And building off of what you are mentioning, Jeanette, I'm wondering if I could turn back to the attorneys on the panel, to Trinette and Erica, to share a little bit more about their role in getting contractors ready, getting folks to the finish line. Like, what are some of the things that you typically do to help the entrepreneurs, just so that people understand the role of an attorney in this process?
Sure. I can start on that. When I'm representing a diverse business, I always ask for their corporate book, right? So have you created the entity? Because I have had transactions where we're negotiating and the client has asked for some type of corporate documentation, and I'm realizing that my client actually is saying that it's a limited liability company, but it actually never filed the paperwork. Or even though it submitted a response, it didn't actually go and get the insurance. And so a lot of times if I'm sitting on that side of the table, I'm saying, hey guys, who are we? And have we set up as that entity? Do we have an employer ID number? Have we done our LLC paperwork? Do we have those things? Because depending on the size of your potential new client, all of those pieces are going to be important to them, and they're going to want copies. And if we get further along and you don't have it, it's going to give them pause as to your sophistication and readiness. So I always, just ask for all of their corporate and business paperwork, and make sure it's all set up. Understand what their insurance is, just sort of some of those housekeeping things that we oftentimes assume have already been taken care of. I really want to lean in on that and get that started.
Excellent points, Erica, because so often businesses think that they went to City Hall and registered as some type of business, and or they're doing business as, and that is not a LLC. That is not a form of incorporation. And so just figuring out those details on incorporate, are you an entity? Have you been incorporated? Do you have insurance? What are the limits? What is the coverage? All of that is absolutely essential. And so thank you for putting that on the table. And Trinette, I want to turn to you.
Yes, I echo everything Erica said. And then also I would say from a government contracting perspective, this is in general, but specifically the government has specific rules about what your accounting system looks like. How are you keeping your books? What do your internal controls look like? What are your stopgap measures to make sure that if there's a malicious actor in your business, that you are able to sort of suss it out, root it out before it becomes a problem that spills over into the government contract that you're working on. I look to see what their structure is from an organizational point of view to make sure that there's a backup plan for if the president goes down, who really is going to step in and be engaging with the government to keep the mission going, right? So those are some of the documents we're always looking for. And then also, I'm also looking for what, and this is not really a legal thing, but it's what does your sales pipeline look like? Because you aren't really in business if you don't have a real sales pipeline, or you are not in the process of developing one. So it's a consultative point of view, not hardcore legal, but that matters because when you go to the government and you're looking for work, if you don't get that opportunity, then what next? Do you just kind of sit there, or do you say, okay, we have 5 more that are in the hopper that we've vetted, that we've gone through the whole business development lifecycle on, and we're going to pursue this work. So those are some of the other artifacts from a legal point of view, but also from just a broader BD perspective that I'm always asking companies if they have those in place.
And Yvonne, if I can piggyback on what Trinette said, even on the private, on the non-government side, sometimes companies want to feel confident that they're not the only one, right? So who else is in your pipeline? Who else have you worked for, work with? That starts to build comfort. And then on the financial piece, you know, a lot of times people will ask, hey, can I see some of your financial records? Not necessarily because they want to read them, but they want to make sure that you actually have a, you know, you're using QuickBooks, even that you have a system by which you're tracking things that is not, you know, a napkin and a pencil. Even if you're early in your business development, having all those systems set up are critical kind of litmus test of whether or not you're really ready to do business for some clients.
Terrific advice from Erica and Trinette on what are the things that businesses should be thinking about to get themselves ready. And Erica, you alluded to what companies are looking for. And so with that, I see it as an invitation for Lamont and Jeff to step in here in terms of what are companies looking for, and how would you advise small businesses and aspiring entrepreneurs in that process from your corporate perch? Lamont, let me start with you and then go to Jeff.
Yeah, so it's a difficult question because it varies, right? I mean, so depending on what industry you're in, I mean, you can even be in the same industry and you and your competitors are looking for different things. But to me, I think what it boils down to is what does the company normally buy? So as a diverse business, find that out. You know, just see, you may have one company that's in an industry that's heavy on, you know, on technology. You may have another one that's heavy on carriers, transportation providers. So understand what that company is looking for. And then again, it kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier in terms of be patient. Do your homework in terms of, you know, you got press releases out there. I mean, the beautiful thing about the internet is that you can find out a lot of information. Companies post articles all the time about what they're doing. So read the articles and understand strategically where that company is going so that you can integrate yourself into their strategy and not be viewed upon as tactical. Be a strategic supplier, not a tactical supplier. So, and even if you're providing consumable goods or things like that, where you may think is, you know, are tactical, there's still a strategic reason for why that company is buying it. So again, so just look and do your research, look at the articles, look at the press releases, see what direction the company is heading into. And then when you approach those companies, guess what? You don't just leave it to chance for them to come up to find an opportunity for you. You say, look, you know, I read the article on such and such, or the press release on such and such, and I believe this is where I fit. So who do I talk to? So flip it around to them and just make it more strategic conversation.
I love that type of proactive, very entrepreneurial. How do you fit into their products and services? Jeff, turning to you.
You're on mute, Jeff.
My sales team is obviously going after every opportunity and not as a diverse company necessarily. So I think it's you're selling your product or service to a general audience, and then management who's in the role of finding out where those opportunities are for your best potential customers to really identify what the avenues are for diverse organizations to work into the larger picture, and also identify, you know, what you're doing that helps them reach their goals, just like Lamont was saying. But we're selling to everyone, and we're using diversity to help us be more competitive against companies in a larger space.
And I want to circle back to Janetta. Janetta, the advice that we've been hearing from the lawyers, from the corporate folks, in terms of government, anything you would like to add?
I would just concur with everything that they've said. Be prepared, be ready, be excited to participate on contracting opportunities, but be ready. We are always encouraging our MWBEs to make sure that all documents are organized properly. Make sure you cross every T and dot every I. Make sure you have the right insurance. Make sure your company is accurately organized. Make sure that when you say that you can provide the service, you can actually provide the service. Make sure that if you are saying that you are, and I'll just throw something out there, that you are a CPA, make sure you have the accurate documentation to validate that you are a CPA. We don't want to get to the point where when it's time to award the contracts, and then we find out at the time to perform that you can't perform. That puts everyone in a tizzy. The user departments, the government, the primes, everyone. So let's make sure that we're actually ready, willing, and capable of performing on the contracts when we, in fact, are selected to participate.
And on that note, we do have a question from the audience about lessons. One of the questions is, how can businesses learn even when they are not successful? So you threw your hat in the ring, you tried to go for the contracting opportunity, and you didn't get selected. Mm-hmm. In that scenario, is the question from the audience. What would you advise? Would you advise people to talk with a procurement officer to get feedback, with a contracting person to get feedback, or would you have other suggestions for what to do in the event of an unsuccessful bid?
So they're going to always be unsuccessful bids. We're not going to always win every bid. My advice is to always keep trying. My advice is to always continue to evaluate your business. Continue to make sure your business is properly positioned so that when that opportunity does present itself, that you are ready. I cannot reiterate enough to always be ready. Sometimes we don't win the bid because we think we're ready and we're really actually not. I would have the attorneys to chime in because we see that all the time. Businesses think they're ready. And then when you start getting into the grit of what the solicitation is actually asking for, where business owners have not fully read the documents, have not fully understood the scopes of services, then they realize, oh no, I can't really provide that. They don't have enough finances to sustain themselves if in fact they are on a contract and that payment doesn't come for 120 days, or it may not come for however long, because we know with government, it's like snail mail. So it's not going to be overnight. So a lot of times vendors may think that they're prepared and they're actually not. So sometimes not winning the bid is a blessing in disguise.
And
Please, yes, I was going to ask the attorneys to chime in.
I would also just say, and I meant to say this from the beginning, first of all, everybody on this call, you guys can thrive in small business contracting. You all are amazing. Just to stand up every day and to just be an entrepreneur, especially in this challenging landscape, I'm just sending positive energy your way because I believe that you're going to do well. Like, I really believe in that. So part of what I would say is, number one, just ask the question of the contracting officer and do what we call a lessons learned debrief. We do that after every bid, whether you win or lose. You go to the contracting officer, and in the federal government, for deals over a certain size, you are actually entitled to a debrief. Now, how detailed it is, that varies, but you are entitled to a debrief from the government. But then also that self-evaluation that Janetta was talking about, take a moment. If you submit the deal on, and you hear that you don't win on Tuesday, maybe set up the lessons learned debrief first when you first submit, and then also when you get notice of award, either way, and say, what could we have done better? What systems were in place that we used really well? So you give yourself a pat on the back, because I really believe in that sort of positive energy, like what's going well, let's talk each other up, let's clap it up as a team. Let's talk about that. And then where were our challenges? And then don't just talk about them. Then you say, okay, John, you're going to be tasked with handling within the next week challenge number 1 that we came across. Susie, your challenge number 2. Renee, your challenge number 3. Let's huddle back up here in a week and figure out what the solutions look like, because you are going to have to bid again. And then the last thing I would say is, if you have external customers, ask them what their opinion is of you as a lessons learned. What do your external customers think about who you are, where you're positioned in the marketplace, and what you do? Because sometimes what you think you're doing and how your brand comes across is totally different than how you're perceived. So those are the three things I would offer. Thank you.
Terrific, terrific. Erica, please jump in.
Yeah, I think Jeanette makes excellent points, particularly about the self-evaluation. I think particularly with regards to, a failed, award, my first advice always is to tell my client, please don't take it personally, right? Because you put all this energy in, and sometimes we kind of spend the money before we have the money. So, we've made plans, right? And we're just so upset because we've already had this contract, right? We've built the tower. And so it's okay to be disappointed. I agree. Reaching out to who you were working with on the RFP, both on the government and the non-government side. What's critical though is how you approach it, because I have seen people approach it and I'm like, what were you thinking? They sort of come back with an attitude. Well, I did this and I did this and I did this and I didn't get it. So what was up? And I've gotten calls from clients saying, hey, we did this RFP and this person is coming back. And then everyone's scared, right? They're like, I don't know how to respond. I don't know what that. And I caution against doing that for two reasons. One, that starts to set you up as a potential problem vendor. So if you end up responding again, people are going to be like, I don't know about this. Two, frankly, it starts to send this worry about dealing with all diverse businesses. Well, I don't want them to feel like they're going to be entitled to. I don't want their feelings to be, hurt, like we're these sensitive people who don't know how to do business. So instead, something like, hey, I really, value the opportunity to respond. We put a lot of work into that, and I would love to get your feedback as to, why we weren't chosen, so that we have some lessons learned and we know how to, kind of better potentially serve you if another opportunity comes up. That helps, one, for the feedback, but it gives you one more little sort of parting bite from that, group who you're reaching out to. And so you want to end it with a positive feeling and not negative.
And it's a sign of professionalism also.
Yes,
Erica.
absolutely.
Right? You're approaching them and extending that networking opportunity to build that relationship. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Jeanette, please.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to also piggyback off what they were saying. Trinette is correct. On the government side, a lot of times you will be made aware of why your bid did not win. So if there is a goal set and you didn't meet the utilization plan goal that was set, or if your subcontractor that you chose was not certified at the time of bid, there are a number of reasons why you may not have won the bid. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the business is not structured properly, or it doesn't mean that you were unsuccessful because of those things. It could have been because of pricing. There are a number of reasons why you wouldn't win a bid. And it doesn't always just mean because the business is not organized. The pricing may not be right, or depending on what your structure is, it may not be what the government is looking for at that particular time. So there are opportunities for you to find out why you didn't win, so that you can prepare and position yourself better the next go out.
Lamont, I want you to jump in here from your perspective in the corporate world. And we're having this conversation about feedback and how you approach players. Can you weigh in on this as well?
From a corporate side, I try to encourage our procurement team to be proactive in providing that feedback to vendors. And again, as I'm also a minority-owned business myself. I'm certified business, and so we build that, just like was mentioned earlier. We build that into our strategy. You've got to understand why you got the business and why you didn't get the business, because if that's the only way to be able to to really analyze your business, is to know what your strengths are, what the weaknesses are. So I want to know, even if we get the business, I want to know why we got it. What continues to drive our company, because guess what? When I mentioned earlier about differentiation, that's what I'm going to lead off with. We provide such and such, because clearly if customers are continuing to say this is why you got it, then you need to make sure that that others understand what that is. And then in terms of not getting it, again, I think it's also in the approach as well. We just need to maintain professionalism as we approach opportunities where we didn't get it. And I say that because as a procurement person, I had a situation or situations where diverse businesses didn't get it, and they weren't really professional when they reached out to the procurement folks. And so then that really stained the relationship because guess what? Sometimes, even though you didn't get it, the company that was chosen, I've seen situations where when they go through the due diligence, when the customer goes through the due diligence, the situation falls out. And so then they have to award to the next company. So if you've burned that bridge, then it's too late for you to cross it.
That's good right there. I'm going to just jump in real quick. I'm dealing with that right now. You are so on point with that. I am dealing with that right now at this moment. So that is true. Never burn bridges. Absolutely. Be ready, willing, and able, because we may come to the next responsive bidder because the one that was awarded couldn't perform, or a number of things happen, and we're going on to the next one. So you are absolutely correct. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Lamont. And again, an emphasis on differentiation. And I appreciate some of the comments that Erica and Trinette put on the table as well about the importance of perception, knowing what you are providing, but also how you are being perceived. What are people associating you with? Which I think is a really terrific point of advice. I want to switch gears a little bit here to talk about certification, because that's a big issue. It's something that many people have questions about. Should I get certified as a minority-owned business, or as a woman-owned business, or any other type of certification that may be applicable for the jurisdiction that people are working in, and which could be other types of diversity. And so, and we often hear from folks saying the process is burdensome. It's just really burdensome, and I'm not sure if I even want to do it. And I'm seeing nods already on the screen from people saying, yep, I'm in that boat. And so I want to hear from each of the panelists on this issue of, is it even worth to get certified? Should we be putting the time and effort into that? Should businesses get certified? And what are some things that you think would be useful for folks as they're going through the certification process? Any resources you guys think about, or any tips and tricks there as well? So let me start with, actually, I'll start with Lamont, and go to Jeff, and then go to our powerful women after the two guys speak.
First off, if my mom was on here, God bless her soul, she would always say women first. So I apologize that I have to go first, but certification is absolutely critical. And the reason why I say that, so in the past, there used to be a stigma associated with becoming certified. And I hear this a lot from diverse businesses that have been doing it for a long time. They thought that if they pursue certification, they become certified, that corporations will look at them, or organizations will look at them differently. That is not the case anymore. Again, I was in procurement, I was in supplier diversity, or am in supplier diversity. And what I can tell you is that when we know that you've gone through a third-party process to get certified, because I know as a small business owner myself, going through that process, it was cumbersome. It was difficult. But because of that, and because I had to go through it myself, I got excited about it even more, because that way I know that if I'm working with a diverse business that has been certified, I know that they went through the rigors. I know that an organization would have sat down with them and had a conversation with them to make sure that they own, operate, and control that business on a daily basis. Get certified. But also, when you get certified, don't sit back and think that the business is coming to you. It's really a license to hunt. And so it's a cherry on top of that ice cream. So you've got that ice cream is really the product and services that you sell. And oh, by the way, I'm certified. So don't start out when you talk to a supplier diversity professional or buyer. Don't have a 20-minute conversation about your certification. Start out with, this is my product and service, and this is what differentiates me from everybody else. And oh, by the way, I'm a certified business.
Absolutely. Yeah, my father was a veteran and we were a veteran-owned business for a long time. And Kaiser actually came to us and talked about the importance of switching to women-owned. And we had to go through the entire process of not only ownership and being privately held, which is super rare in our industry, but also redesigning our company. So every department in the company is managed by primarily women, which was quite a challenge. We're recertified every year, but every pizza place in New York says that they've got the best slice of pizza, and you can't believe any of them, but you've gone through that certification. You get that validation. You can walk in with that. People know the organization that validate you. It's a non-conversation. I've got the best product. I've got the best service. I'm here. I've been here. I'm going to continue to be here. And on top of that, we've gone the extra mile, to satisfy something that, in your history as a customer and the research that I've done is important to you too, is to serve the diverse community of the public by working with businesses that are diverse.
Terrific. I love it. So far I'm hearing it's a value added, and it's the cherry on top. It's not what you lead with. I love the way Lamont put it. Janetta, I want to turn to you, and then we will hear from council.
So we absolutely know that certification matters. I believe the question is also what types of certification. So we certify with the Cook County minority women, veterans, persons with disabilities, and also service disabled veterans. So it doesn't necessarily matter the type of certification you carry. It's the type of certification that fits whatever your entity is, what your business is. I know that here in Illinois, the state of Illinois has a certification entity as well. Many of the certifying agencies, departments charge a fee. I know the state of Illinois does not. So that is always a good caveat to be certified with the state of Illinois Business Enterprise Program, because it's free. There are opportunities there all the time for certified MWBEs, veterans, and persons with disabilities. Now here at Cook County, we charge $250. The city of Chicago also charges $250. So if that helps, you go where there is no fee, but the weight of the certification is still as strong. Look into the PTACs if you're concerned about getting certified, if you don't understand it. The PTACs help with that. And that's also a free service.
Terrific. And I'm going to turn to Erica and Trinette.
Sure. Yeah. So I would echo that certification does help. There's a lot of different ways to get certified. I'm in California, so there's state, different city and counties have different things, different agencies that are government have different ones. And then on the non-government side, different clients have their own internal initiatives and then point to certain agencies where they want to see your certification, right? So you're just trying to like figure it all out. And what I recommend is you actually kind of figure out who your clients are likely to be, what type of industries are they in, what do they look for in terms of certification? Because you couldn't have this possibility of feeling like you had to be certified by 10 or 15 different places. And so for legal services, like when I had a small business, I had to look at, okay, well, who are my potential clients and who do they want certifications for? Because all their supplier diversity pages, will say, and so some want certifications from the state, but our state only certifies small business entities. They don't deal with diversity. So then some of my clients wanted that. Some of my clients wanted a diversity statement from a particular agency that was local, but other of mine didn't accept that one. They wanted other ones. So, you know, it takes us back to what Jeanette was saying earlier, which is having, you know, a repository, all your deals, all your finances, all your pieces. So, you know, when you pull it together for this group, I always have this base I'm pulling from, but I think you really want to think about who is my client type, who am I approaching, and what do they need? And I will say that I hate paperwork. So certifications was one of my least favorite things as a small business. I hated it. And because I hated it, I think I spent more time on it. So I had my assistant, because you also then have to renew. So everybody's talking about certification. They didn't talk to you about how you have to keep renewing it. So then you need these charts that tell you when, you know, each things are due.
Yeah.
Side note, a funny story I had was I was applying for certification as a minority-owned business, and it required me to not only provide my birth certificate, but the birth certificate of my parents. My mother's birth certificate said that her father was colored because of the time. And as a result of that, my certification application actually got kicked back because I cannot prove that I was African American for multiple generations. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I had to write, but I didn't give up, right? I called, I figured out how to address it, what other things, and people give up. So pick wisely, keep the data, keep your certification dates, and don't give up.
Thank you for sharing, Erica, and frustrating as well. And Trinette, please.
So I echo everyone. Certifications are critical. Let me just put a little bit of a different spin on it, at least from the federal level. I know many of you might have heard of the 8A program, right? So the 8A program is a program for for disadvantaged minorities, or there's different groups of folks that are disadvantaged that are able to apply for, go through a very rigorous process to get your certification. It matters when you apply for that certification, because the 8A program only has a 9-year lifespan at most that you can be in that program. And so if you're just starting out and you're getting going and everything, and you have a couple of little deals, get more under your belt before you go for the 8A, because if you get awarded an 8A certification and you get on that contract and a year or two goes by and you are not able to win work under the 8A designation, you will be put on basically probation, and you can have it rescinded if you don't show that you have work under that particular contract within a certain amount of time. Now, during COVID, there were some flexibility and everything like that, but when you apply for that 8A is critical. The other ones like services table, everyone's mentioned them all. I won't belabor the point. I'm here for all of it. I think it's great. It gives you an edge, but lead in with your strategic strengths and why you matter and why you're better than the next 80 people in line wanting the same work, right? And then the certification is just icing on top. But with that 8A, because a lot of people on this call could probably pursue that, be careful as to when that is, and don't just rush into it and think it's like streets lined with gold and milk and honey. It's a lot. And so be ready. Thank you.
Janetta, can you share with us what type of certifications Chicago offers?
So Cook County offers, again, the minority, women-owned, veteran-owned, persons with disabilities, and service disabled veterans. So there was also a question in the chat about out-of-state businesses. So you have to have offices, or your business, in order to do business with Cook County, you have to have an office here in Cook County. Now, for the state of Illinois, which is the full state, the state of Illinois does certify out-of-state businesses if they are going to be doing business in the state, if they have an office, if they have not just a satellite office, but there is an actual office where you're going to be doing business here in Illinois. In Cook County, same thing. You have to have offices here in order to do business with Cook County and to get certified. Now, you can bid on contracts, but you don't have to be certified to bid on county contracts or state contracts. The certification is just, as Lamont said, it's the cherry on top. But you can absolutely bid on all of our contracts. If you can perform the work and the pricing is there, you could actually win the bid. It's up to whatever the user department is looking for at that particular time for that particular solicitation.
Jeff, I want to turn to a point you made about how you guys restructured to be more women run. And I'm curious, can you share what have been some of the advantages of that shift?
It empowered a lot. Am I on mute? No, I'm not on mute. Yes. And Janetta, great. I really appreciated those comments. But yeah, it empowered the women that have been running our company to get into positions that identify that. I think that the culture of our company has entirely changed. I think that our marketing has embraced the fact that we are going after this. And once again, we're still, focused on technology and our customer, and we'll do that. But a huge part of our company has become this diversity option. I don't think that it's paid the dividends of the time that's been invested. I think it could potentially down the road, but I love what it's done internally to the culture of our company over time. So it's worthwhile. From a corporate standpoint, I think some groups, recognize it and feel that it's more important, and some people use it as window dressing to say that we love to be more diverse, but really when the rubber hits the road, that doesn't exist. And that's what you find out through the process and time. But yeah, I appreciate what it's done to my company. I think it's healthy.
Thank you for sharing that. Please.
I'd like to just add one comment on top of Jess, because when he was talking, it reminded me of something that I run into. Some people don't seem to understand that all of these representations you make when you get certification, they can't change. So you can't be a minority run business when you filled out the paperwork and then stop being a minority owned business, because I've run into that. So when you're thinking about, whatever structure you're structuring as, this is a choice and a business movement, and you have to stick with it in order to maintain certification. Even if you're between a cycle, that doesn't mean, at least from a lawyer's perspective, because we're going to follow our rule of the certification, you're supposed to maintain whatever the structural setup is during the life of your certification. So I just want to point that out, because I ran into that recently. Sort of like you said, Janetta, we were doing some due diligence and we realized that the person who my client had chosen actually was no longer structured as it's supposed to be a women-owned business, even though they had the certification, but they changed during COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, and to add to that, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just to speak to what Erica is referring to when she spoke about holding on to the certification and realizing that you have to update it annually. So there is something known as the no change affidavit, where you're filling that out annually, because I believe either for the city, the county, and the state, your certification may last for about 5 years. If you're continuing a no change, meaning nothing has changed in the business, but then you have to recertify completely at that 5th year. And then we're going in for a full cert. So we're asking for all of those documents all over again. We're asking for everything. And we're hoping that nothing has changed and the business has not changed from being a minority, or as Erica said, is now a woman-owned business, or was previously a woman-owned business and now is no longer. So
yeah, and what we've run into too is a lot of the companies will actually go out and find kind of a shadow company that serves as a diverse option for entry. So it puts us in a strange situation, because we're the company that is doing the work, and we have done all the things to become a certified diverse company. And then we've got larger companies that could never potentially qualify for a number of reasons to be diverse, but they found some diverse company, especially when it comes to government, and
Yes, we see it. Oh, absolutely.
yeah. So
So correct.
I mean, be aware of that. I'm not only a diverse, bidder in this RFP. I'm the actual person doing this business, and that should be considered. And it's hard to figure out.
Jeff, if I can add to that, if you're a diverse supplier and you're approached by a company, a larger company, asking you to be that shell company, do not do that. That's
Right.
to impact your credibility. It's illegal in a lot of situations, and really, it just defeats the purpose of growth in supplier diversity. So I understand that gaining capital is one thing, but if the business opportunity is not ethical, avoid it at all costs, because it just makes all of us look bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's incredible that it works, but unfortunately it does. And especially if you're a diverse company fighting that battle and you lose to, that kind of scenario, it's frustrating, but it does exist. So just be aware.
This is a very rich conversation, and I am going to have to apologize. I am having a family member with a medical emergency, and I'm going to have to drop off. But I am going to turn it over to Mike Shore from ICIC so that he can finish for the next 10-15 minutes, because we were about to open it up to questions from the audience so that you guys could pepper the stellar panel with your questions. And so I'm going to turn it over here in the Q&A so that Mike can moderate the Q&A. It's been a pleasure to be here and to connect with all of you. And I apologize that I have to drop off.
All is well, Yvonne. Sorry.
Best look.
Praying for you and your family.
All right. Hope it works out.
So, boy, you got chopped liver here now. So what I'm going to do, take off, Yvonne, please take care of everything. What I'd like to, while we're waiting for questions to come in, I'd like the panel to ask, is there a question that you think that we haven't asked? Or is there a question that you'd like to ask a fellow panel member that would help our audience think about how to best approach procurement?
I think that if you haven't done certification, I think to get set in the mindset that it's important, go to your best customer and say that if I did this, what would that mean to you? Or if there's business that you want to get, on a group that you've been considering, there's so many diverse businesses, you can't speak to everybody's situation, but just figure out how impactful that certification could be in your industry. I think generally it's a great thing. It is time consuming, but just do that research yourself to get you to that point.
I would ask Lamont, AmerisourceBergen is huge. What is the most straightforward way? I know you guys have a portal. I know the answer to this, but I'm asking for the benefit of everybody on the call. And I'm going to ask the same of Janetta, the most straightforward, like where should they go to engage with you immediately from a small business perspective to get opportunities to do some work?
Trinette, thanks for asking that. So go to www.amerisourcebergen.com/SD as in supplier diversity. Go there and not only register, but before you register, look to see who we are as an organization. We may not be for you. So check to see if what we provide, what we purchase is aligned with what you do. So please register, but then also, again, just, be patient. And understand that by you registering does not mean that you have a contract with us or that you're, a supplier of ours. It gives us information so that we know who you are. So when we just had our first virtual supplier diversity summit, and we only opened it up to those that were registered in our portal. And so just understand that. But please, that's the first step, is to go into that portal.
So I will jump in. Mike, I sent Kwanzaa, and I know she wasn't available. We actually had sent her over some links so that we would have for the panel as well as for the participants. And all of these links are basically where vendors can go to register. They can register to see all of the contracting opportunities in the state of Illinois, in Cook County, as well as in the city of Chicago. they can register their business. They can see what opportunities are currently coming up. And then they can also register and then start working on getting certified if they're interested in doing business with the state, the county, or the city. So those links, if you have those, Mike, we can upload those into the chat, and those guys, then they can go and see the different opportunities that are available to them.
Yes, I'm trying to get that right at the second. I will be working on it. In the
All right.
meantime, we
Thank
have
you.
a question from the audience, and it is regarding transferring from a father to a son a certification for minority-owned business. And I'll throw that question to the panel.
So I'm going to answer it as government now, and I'll have the attorneys chime in. Certifications can't be transferred. When you are certified, when you're a certifying entity, it's almost as if, so if you're certifying as a minority, your minority status cannot be transferred. So if you're certifying as a woman-owned business and you're wanting to transfer to that to a male, it's the same thing. You can't transfer a certification. So you have to apply as your own entity.
So could you update because they always say if there's a change in ownership of the business, you have to then notify the certification agency. Once that notification goes in, does that then mean they come back and make you recertify with the new business structure?
Absolutely. Because
Okay.
because there is a change in the structure of the business. Because if you were the certified, so you're saying the father was the owner and now the son is the owner?
Or will be a part owner, so a partner. So it'll be 51-49, which means he'll still own 51% and I'll get 49.
So
No.
you don't, yeah, thanks, Lamont. You wouldn't necessarily need to change anything if he's still owning a portion of the business.
Yeah, because we have veteran certifications as well. So we're definitely not changing for that. Service disabled veteran owned small business certified by the VA who came to the office and audited. So we're definitely not doing that, right? But if I do get part ownership of the business, that 51-49 won't affect the certifications because he'll still own 51
Right.
and I'll have 49.
Yeah.
As long as he maintains ownership, you will maintain your certification.
Yeah, the majority ownership. So as long as it's
Exactly.
at 51%, then nothing changes.
Okay.
He can divide it amongst the kids. If you have siblings, you let's say if you have two other
That's
siblings,
me.
I'm just saying, even still, if you had two other siblings and he divided it there, still, as long as he owns 51%, they look at the majority owner.
Okay.
Right.
And with that majority ownership, that your father is still actively engaged in the day-to-day operations and control and all of that.
Yes, thank
Right.
you.
Just want to throw that out there.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we make sure he is. So he controls the books and, make sure that he signs off on all of the RFPs that we send in and solicitations that we enter to government and state agencies. So make sure that he does have full access and run, he takes my word, but he runs the business.
Sounds like you guys are doing well. That's great. Very
Perfect.
good.
Thank you.
But you should start working on a transition plan as well. So, that's one of the things that I wish diverse businesses did more of is coming up with a transition plan. Because, a lot of times the owner unfortunately passes away. I mean, we all will, at some point in our lives, that's what happens. And the business dies along with that owner. So make sure that transition plan is in place. You've got two lawyers here that I'm sure would love to talk to you about how to establish legal documents with that, but make sure that that's in place.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that we're working on right now. They're doing a new will and testament, both my mother and my father. And since the business is his property per se, and if I'm going to get part ownership of that, we need to split it off into a S corp and change EIN numbers and all that, which would then affect our minority certifications because we'd have to recertify under a new EIN.
We have time. Go ahead, Trinette. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. I just wanted to say, what Lamont just said, everyone on this call, you need to promise me before the end of this month, you will reach out to an estate planning attorney and a wealth management firm, because we don't see that a lot in these diverse businesses. Like Lamont said, just in general, in your life, like that should be laid out so people aren't like acting crazy and fist fighting at the funeral. So I'll just say that. Thank you.
Can I give you my parents' phone number, please?
That's the hardest
Well,
argument.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And on that point, on some of my larger clients who reach out to businesses and want to work with small and diverse businesses, one of the things which they're asking now is, what is your business continuity plan? If you are, if there's only 2 or 3 of you, what happens if the 2 of you have COVID? Are you connected to another firm? Like wanting to feel assured of your ability to provide services, even if something unexpected happens. So I hear Jeanette's advice is a good one.
Great. Well, we are getting close to the end here. And first of all, you guys have been a fantastic panel. So thank you. Thank you. I have one question left from the audience, and then I'm going to ask each one of you if there was 1 or 2 things that you wanted everybody to walk away from this conversation, things that they should do. I know, Trinette, you just gave some, so maybe there's another one, but I would like to ask that. So the last question from the audience is, can I be a registered business but have subcontractors under our umbrella? And maybe I'll have 1 or 2 answer, and then we'll go around the room and end with what the takeaway might be. Anybody have an answer for that one?
I do. I started a national company so I could satisfy some of the national bids that we have to deal with. And since we're just a regional company on top of diversity, that's a whole nother challenge. And those companies can serve under me and don't have to be separately certified if we bill. I'm sure that that's different from contract to contract, but it just depends. There's so many scenarios with the different types of business that we have out there. But I mean, the smaller companies in the painting and the steel and the things that I've seen in the chat feed, I mean, those are the ones that can truly, really phenomenally benefit from diversity. When you get into the upper echelons of all the technical business, it's a lot more complicated, but people love to give business to diverse businesses that are ready for that business. And the more straightforward that business is, the better it is. So please do it.
Thank you for that, Jeff. Why don't we start with you now? I'm going to just circle around here clockwise fashion. So I'll start with you, Jeff. Any takeaway that you'd like people to walk away from this great panel with?
Thanks for having a diverse business. Keep pushing, enjoy your time. We're all here for you. All of our information is here. So if you want specific guidance, please reach out, because champions are super important. Just have somebody to continue to give you guidance.
Awesome. Lamont?
I'll just say, do a SWOT analysis on your business. I think too often businesses establish companies and then they don't really grow because they haven't really seen the strategic ways that they could grow. So do a SWOT analysis, identify your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and update it annually.
Thank you. Janetta?
I want to just say thank you for allowing us this space to share our knowledge, our experience, our expertise. Know that we are absolutely advocates for the MWBE community. I am absolutely an advocate for the primes and the subs. And I would leave you with this takeaway: ask for help. Don't assume that you know everything. We are all experts in some areas, but we are definitely novice in others. Ask for help. There is no dumb question in contracting opportunities, in procurement, in the WBE space. There is no dumb question. Ask the question. Closed mouths don't get fed. Ask for help. Seek out individuals who you have seen participate in opportunities. Network. Ask them to mentor you, But my final word is ask for help.
Love that, Janetta, and that's what my wife says I never do when I ask for direction. So, but thank you, Erica. You're up.
I think I want to echo again something that Lamont said, which is to be strategic and not tactical. That has been popping in my head a lot. I think we know there are all these things to do, so we just sort of jump in and start doing stuff, and we really have to pause. We can't be a jack of all trades. And that's even something I struggle with sometimes. If someone calls and they want to offer you this, or maybe I could do this, or I see an RFP, or someone tells me about an opportunity, you're just all over the place. So really spend the time to think about who you are, what you want to do, what you can do well, and focus on that. And there are opportunities to grow and expand. But a lot of times I see people have trouble like fully launching their business because they're trying to be everything to everybody, and you just can't. So I would really focus on that.
Thanks. Excellent. Trinette?
I would just say, figure out a way to process your emotions surrounding entrepreneurship. Because it's, one day you're up, one day you're not maybe as up. And figure out a way to every day look for a space to show gratitude to the opportunity to be in business, to sort of wake up and have the ability to hunt, have a hunting license and use it, as Lamont said, and figure out a way to really focus on the positive. Even if one day it looks like it's raining cats and dogs, but there's one little kernel of positivity that you can grasp onto, do it, because it really does embed itself into everything that you touch in your business. So I always say, what you think about, you speak about. What you speak about, you bring about. So when you speak excellence and positivity over that which you're pursuing, it just has a way of coming back to you. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, again, Janetta, Erica, Trinette, Lamont, Jeff, tremendous amount of wisdom shared. I mean, you guys come at it from a variety of angles. We can't thank you enough, and I'm sure all the businesses feel likewise. So thank you for helping navigate. Tremendous panel. Want to thank Yvonne in absentia. He did a great job. And then I just struggled along for the last 10 minutes, but you guys helped me out. Just so everybody knows, we're going to have a short break now for 15 minutes. And then at 4:45, we're unveiling the Intercity 100 award winners. It's our culminating ceremony. This is celebrating the 100 fastest growing businesses in underserved communities. And we thank you all for your participation. We hope that you have all, you all walk away with a bunch of things that you're going to do to improve your businesses and move forward. So thank you, panel. Thank you, audience. And
thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody.